Hello everyone. I want to talk about something I've never talked about before. I've literally had no ideas on the topic until now, but it's the art of storytelling. I want to go over what that means. I want to, explain to you why storytelling is valuable and what it does, and what the art of it is. It's an art, it's not a science. That's why you gotta look at stories as an art form. You should not look at it as a scientific explanation. Because science is originated from creativity. Someone had to come up with the words. You know, the guy who came up with the name quarks in science, he was actually inspired by a book to call it quarks. You know, these names came from creative sources, came from even stories, you can say. You see, stories are important because sometimes you're told a story and you listen to it, and sometimes it's as if you are in a story, you know, and you are a character in a story, and there are all these themes, and you've seen so much, you know what I mean? You see, sometimes we go into a restaurant and they just give us the menu. They don't give you an accurate picture of what the food is. You use your imagination to build and understand that first story. Therefore, imagination is, I guess, story building and breaking constantly. You're looking at many stories in which experience is presented. Now, the art of storytelling, I want to make this very interesting, that it means you're not the storyteller if you're hearing the story. If you're seeing a story right now, this is not the storyteller. Who is the storyteller? Well, who is aware that I'm here? I mean, the storyteller would definitely know that I will be here. If I'm going to be here, then what's the difference between me being here and the storyteller being here? We're in the same spot. You know, and based on this understanding, see that art and science are two different pathways to enlightenment. Because eventually all forms break down within the self-reflection and self-awareness of their formless presence. Guys, there's mental circuitry can only go so far. They can only put so many ideas in your head, you know? Until you get hungry and you go eat a burger, do you know what I mean? Or, you know, you need to be aware of where you are, what you are, and what's happening, you know? For example, what I would count as greater degrees of awareness is that if there's a random train in front of me going, I know exactly where it's going to. Do you know what I mean? It's a sense of knowing and ability to extract knowledge through creative storytelling of what is present. In other words, creative storytelling to the point of appreciative experience of that story and characteristics is good learning. But guys, even knowledge is not completely the path to freedom. You cannot just read books and find yourself more than the character you are. You see, what I find to be storytelling is a great metaphor. And the reason it's a great metaphor because I want to compare it, and it's similar to many other periods in life. For even when we learn things, we are being given answers to our truth. That's why we should never stop learning. That's why there's no time to even talk about beliefs. We should just be experiencing and amplifying our understanding of where we are. You see, if you don't know where you are, or you're not convinced by where you are, and not convinced, it's as if like you've seen everything where you are and you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure there's more than this one room, right? Then you go a different path. You don't go a path based on formal reward. You don't go a path where at the end of it you're wearing a suit, but it's you don't know anything about who you are and what you are, you know, not just who you are. Existentially what we are. It's a path, and what it is, it's not a peculiar path. It's just it's a theme. You become aware of in your life because the world needs more aware people. So become aware of this theme to study yourself and study your being. You know, that's pretty much meditation, guys. You're studying your being, but eventually after some points you're not studying with words or reading or whatever. It's just direct experience. And so at times you reach points where you can control that experience, but you see that there's no reason to. As if it requires one instant for you to fade into a nothingness, but there's no reason to. Let's play along with the game. You know what I mean? If that's the ambition, which actually comes from that kind of eyes. I don't know how to say this, but it's as if once you have experienced something, it's as if once you've run around the track, you know what it is. You know what you will do. Do you know what I mean? You gain knowing, you gain understanding from life, right? But it has to come from a clear source, or then it'll be someone else's understanding. You don't want someone else's understanding. You want your understanding. You don't want someone else's understanding, such as how the school is telling you to understand your topics. You want your own creative opening of your own discovery of your whatever is your methodology. In other words, balance is crucial in all areas of your life. Please understand this. I don't know who you are, what kind of person you are, what kind of habits you have. I don't even know what age range you are, you know. And I don't judge it. Anyone can listen to this. I try to talk in a way where if a little child even heard it, it would help him too. You know, it's a consideration I take in. However, people need to understand that because we are creation, because we are alive right now, because we exist as creation exists, right? First there's the platform of existence, then there is the story, right? You need to always understand this. There's that silence, nothingness, stillness that needs no definition for you being what you are, and as the noise comes, then it changes, then the stories are being told. Right? So it's an interpretation of sound, which is storytelling, but at the same time, it's as if that sound never ends and it echoes in our minds for our learning and our experience. Right? You see, the reason I find that maybe we're not maintaining our planet the best way is because humanity is not aware of its fabric of connectivity. In other words, each human being existentially is not aware of the commonality and connection he serves with another human being. And that's life. And that's existence. Do you know what I mean? It's not. I don't like to use the word hell, but it's a pretty bad place if people are learning to hurt each other more than they're learning to, for example, embrace one another. You know. At the same time, we should not have this urge of breaking freedom. Do you know what I mean? We don't. Rebellions are important, but if there is no need, there is no need for a rebellion. If you see that an environment could be better off based on a greater awareness for the decision maker, there's an important thing there. You know, there's an important thing. After some point of any story you talk about in your life, you're like, all right, man, I'm done with these degrees and with these jobs and with these imaginary mansions which my childhood programmed into me wanting, you know. You know? And then going through that broken vision. It is very hard for me to explain, but I'm just saying, you just recognize, all right, I want to know what's alive. I want to know what's here. I want to accept, I want to see beyond my chosen limitation. I want to gaze through things I was told I couldn't. You see, it's not that you're rebellious, it's that your energies are not satisfied where they are. In other words, maybe you're standing somewhere right now. I don't know what phase you're in your life. I don't know if you're the person listening to me who feels he has everything, or you're the person listening to me who feels he has nothing. But regardless, this moment is where the flow of everything in your life is, literally, is. It's all right here. It's not moving from. It's not past into present. It's here. You conceive. It's a subtler realm of mental imagination where you're conceiving time to be one with that value. We give, it's for example, the word love. Love is a concept, it's an idea. We give it the value of an existential love, something that can't be named. Do you know what I mean? We are always naming the nameless. It doesn't matter if someone calls it God, Buddha, nature, whatever you call it, the symbol does not matter. We need to evolve more than symbol acknowledgement. We're getting trapped in our symbols. No, be aware the symbols are stories. Be aware that we are part of this aligning directive which is innately known within us, and it's peculiar for each person. You have a sense of right that you need to do in this life, and you have a sense of the wrongs which will happen if you do those. What does that mean? That means you are given the ability to know right, to continue and know and expand. You're given the ability to know wrong, to know the limitations of your expansion, but it does not mean you're still expanding limitlessly. Do not think you're trapped in ideas that can't be anything else but those ideas. I don't know what you think abundance is. If you think it's gaining large amount of influence, money, recognition, power, whatever you think that is, all I know is that when a person is alive, the most important things that bring all his definitions are his eyes. And he needs to see how deep and celestial his view is. You need to see all the relationships of your life and go to their core and understand that you as a natural being are not limited to this range of experience. It's as if you're choosing to experience all these forms that you're choosing because you had hands that could shape clay. To become experienced means to break through your past. You are no longer bothered by a past. You see, there's some people who say, I see past lives, I see all these other figures. And that's fine, but you need to understand, there's a nothingness, there's a gap in your memory of you don't know where you originated from. But that's the thing, you're trying to know it formally. It is not a formal recognition. It's a formless presence that is the same sight that was there when you were born, when you originated into being, regardless of any conception of time. When two drops of water integrate and then eventually find their way to the stream, they are no longer drops of water. They're defined by the flow of the stream. And the flow of the stream is aligned by greater oceans. Do not think you're stepping just for me and you. You're stepping for all existence. You're living for all existence. I am speaking to my voice. And as there's silence, you can see yourself within everything. This is not an idea. It's an innate direct experience that perhaps hasn't been talked about a lot. Once the mind is quiet, once the body's quiet, once all your thoughts are quiet, once there is nothing but a silence that cannot be defined, look at existence and your experience will be unspeakable, but always here and now. When we experience life here and now, we know that everything pours back into this funnel, which is this moment. And there is a sense of completion because there was never an option for failure. There was never a need for someone to think he has failed and then fuck up. There was never no fuck up. There was just movement forward. There was only expansion, not a definition of how you're expanding. It doesn't matter how you're expanding. As existence, we are expanding. There's a sense of expansion, but this expansion can only be measured and defined so much. In other words, the context which I'm speaking about expansion is not one that could be verbalized. It does not lie in the spectrum and paintbrushes of duality. It is the canvas ripped apart. It's no longer having the brush or, the page and it being the moment of all that is, and then profoundly experiencing your higher bodies. In other words, feeling your sense of connectivity with the cosmos, with the stars, with the ground that you're walking on perhaps, and at the same time with the bird that's flying up there, and just the air and things that are inconceivable. Experience yourself in those realms. Guys, you have crazy dreams. It does not mean that those dreams were unique and it's like your life is, it may be based on that, but at the same time, your dreams are your vision in an altered state of consciousness. All your vision is here and now. The fabric, the quality of this holographic experience is not, we can be so much more playful as humanity in regards to how life is working. You don't need to think it's so complex. You don't need to keep yourself in these lower energetic states to think about your problems. See, it is important to be observant and aware what the problem is so you can heal and bring efficiency to your existence, right? But it is also important to know the value of your most immediate change. You see, we're all going to change. So if you woke up every day and you change something about yourself, you will eventually find the alignment and the flow of your life. So what does that mean? When you live honestly and truthfully, you access non-dualistic spheres, shapeless spheres of knowing and insight of your next step. It's as if you weren't so late for work, you'd enjoy the bus ride. In other words, if you weren't so late for work, you could see that work is simply an acceptance of imagery that you constantly want to see and do every day. You see? There are those who contribute in maintaining systems set before us. They go work in those systems. They're having new experiences of those systems, but they're improving old ideas, right? For example, me going into, let's say, a car company and promoting fuel for the rest of my life, right? You know, there's that kind of view, but there's also that view which is existentially so connected to life that knows what is necessary and knows what is unnecessary. You realize your bad opinions on others and yourself is unnecessary. Your good opinion to create and explore a greater environment is important. So give good feedback. Understand every day you wake up, you have the ability to say words to people. You know, these words affect people's lives. Who knows? They may affect other things, right? You see, the reason honesty and all monks and spirituality lead to a lot of compassion is because it has to. Because existentially, you are that connected with your consciousness to recognize how deep the reflection is. You know, at some point you become aware that you have the mirror. The mirror's in your hand in front of you and you're holding it. You become aware of that, but at the same time, you don't just break the mirror, you know? You don't just you look at the mirror completely and you become playful with this existential possibility that is the attention of your experience. It's as if, guys, I don't know how to say it, but if I spoke about this mind metaphor at some point during my talks, in other words, that we are all like neurons right now, you know, just separate individuals who are unified by our sense of presence, we understand that direct experience is found in the realm of the unjudged, non-dualistic realms. If you have unified experiences of your moment, you find a creativity, an insight, an inspiration, which is your eyes opening up to a greater world. In other words, after any desire, let's say you got your greatest desire and you were in the midway of doing it, in maybe like the second day of doing the thing you loved and, you know, your greatest desire or whatever. You're, let's say, being in a mansion or being in wherever, being in the craziest party or whatever, right? After that, if someone came up to you and he's like, hey man, this is not life. You know, there's a different experience of life, which is not so based on things that perhaps may stay in this physical, like temporal creation as long, I guess. In other words, for me to make this more clear, there are cycles of existence, which is just an experiential presence, and you receive it through being always present and aware and self-aware in the moment. You're always now. You realize before you think you're late, where is that idea coming from? You become aware of your presence, guys. And this is not some like very deep, sacred thing. It's something that does not continue in the realm of thought. You're not thinking about it. And your mind sometimes unconsciously your mind thinks for you. And what does that mean? That means you receive ideas that are coming from another attention unit that's not yours. You know? Guys, our attention goes through this door where it is formed, it is shaped, it is formed, it is shaped, and suddenly, in that stop, silence, pause, in that alignment of all planets into the one line of existence, into the one weave that inspired the needle and the string, you know, from that sense of oneness to then feel a separation that is being, it's very hard to say. It's as if you're let's say if I was, this is a very insane metaphor, and I've never used metaphors like this, but I hope it suggests this, what I'm talking about. It's as if, let's say if I was built from Lego right now, if I was a Lego person, right, and I'm walking down in the park, suddenly all my pieces fall apart and I break down, you know? And then suddenly I'm remade again. But during that breaking down, during that point of non-existence, literally the thought and reality of, there was a freedom to be anything. And not in the sense that it's not about the images and the attractions of physical form. It's about the awareness to all that exists. That is the search. And those words, and any word, any sound eventually fades, guys. You know? I recommend to people who sometimes feel they have tough conversations with their friends, their parents, or whatever, right? If you ever in your life go through a condition where you have a tough, talk or condition, whatever, with your parents or anything, you just have an argument, you need to embrace silence and the quietude and the peace and tranquility found in nature. Go experience that, because it clears your thinking as well. That's the beauty of nature. It's not just that you're getting clearer air and you're just more in touch with what is here, It's at the same time a mental clarity which aligns you, which tells you what the values are. It's as if when you see beautiful animals and exotic animals that might go extinct, you don't destroy that park. You keep it. You sustain it. You let that life grow. You don't pick out that plant, and put it in a cage or a box and, give it as a gift. You don't do that with life. Because, guys, when you stop judging life, we all judge life, man. Some people don't even believe they're doing what they're doing. They're like, what the how am I still doing? Nobody believes, but you're judging life. You're creating a solid frame. And that solid frame will make you attentive to more ideas rather than the source of ideas. The source of ideas is where your search becomes you, when you're looking at you, where you're looking behind and beyond the name tag. That is a very important realm. Therefore, in the art of storytelling, that art begins by knowing a lot about life. Guys, don't just Wikipedia stuff. Go know directly by experience. For example, know how to, create whatever. Go learn things. Play with the forms you have. But don't take it so seriously. Because the one who's taking it seriously is formed. And all forms are temporal. It's like the idea that thinks you're not living a good life is just an idea that fades. Experience is valuable in life, guys, regardless in how you go. Regardless, there are now business people. See, it's really funny. I'll tell you one side of the spectrum, and I'll tell you another side of the spectrum. There are business people who they snort cocaine, and then they invite their whoever they're waiting for, their appointment. They go into their boardroom, you know what I mean, and handle the project, right? That's one end of the spectrum. That's in the West. Guys, in the East, there are people who they don't do drugs, but they have done yoga and, methods like that, and they are huge, wealth owners in a country, big names, big like CEOs, of big companies, and they do yoga and meditation. And you realize that it's as if they retain a sensitivity where it's as if they're not intruding. They're not taking away. They're not killing. They're not ridiculing. You know what I mean? It's as if there's this subtler sense of presence that always was abundant, and it is now revealed again. You don't go. Let me tell you, your abundance, whatever you want to achieve in this life, mentally, in my view, of course, this is my experience of it, my vision of it. So you may look at whatever kind of life you're living and whatever life you're going to live, right? You might want to become an artist or anything. But regardless who you are, because we're human beings, we communicate using stories, right? Your stories have to have accurate versions of you, extremely accurate and true versions of you. You know what I mean? And how do you do that? By stop thinking how to be accurate, true, and honest and good and meditative or whatever. You stop thinking like that. You stop thought and you experience. You literally become that kid who doesn't know words, but he's running around having fun. It's like I feel kids, they're all in that blissful, ecstatic state, and they're running around, without a care in the world, right? And they're like, and there are people talking, but some kids don't engage in language. Some kids are like, they hear sounds and they don't maintain them. They don't keep them, right? But it shows that when the kid's laughing, the kids can talk before they don't know words. They can communicate, It's very inspiring at the same time because they don't have words, it's just full blissful experience of everything. I feel all these little kids who are running around in this ecstatic joy, like hee hee, just running around everywhere. They're like, I better enjoy my walk, my playful days here, because I'm going to grow up and I'm going to think about things to the degree that thoughts rule my life, and so the thoughts that are present in my environment are going to rule me if I don't know that they're separate, and therefore I'm going to be stuck. Guys, there's two ways people make you stuck somewhere. There's one way, someone builds a wall in front of you and you can't pass. And another way is someone tells you, hey man, you're stuck. You can't go anywhere, right? You need to get that voice out of yourself because it's not your voice. It's simply your memory playing with something for too long. It's an unnecessary item in your arsenal. Don't have it here, The truth of what we are is a personal self-reflection that goes through a mental dissolution and an alignment of awareness that is not oriented based on form, but a formless unification that cannot be spoken because it is so experiential that there are no words that can capture it. It is too formless for words. And so I feel the band Nirvana made an amazing choice to choose that name and to promote the wisdom of the sounds of life. Thank you.